In a museum in Cape Town right now, there are 4 stuffed animals behind glass. Blue-gray coat, 4 feet at the shoulder, glass eyes staring at nothing. They are the complete physical legacy of the bluebuck. And last month, Colossal Biosciences announced they are bringing it back. Not as a major headline, quietly, as their 6th program. As if adding a 6th extinct species to an active de-extinction pipeline is now routine enough not to require a press conference. And that casualness, that almost administrative tone of a company announcing its 6th impossible project, tells you more about what has happened since 3 wolves were born in October 2024 than any headline ever could. The dire wolf was not the goal, it was the proof. And now the pipeline is open. Part 1. What the dire wolf program was actually for. To understand what Colossal is building right now, you need to understand what the dire wolf program was actually designed to do. Because it was not designed to produce 3 wolves on a reserve. It was designed to answer one question in front of the largest possible audience. Does the end-to-end pipeline work? The pipeline is this. You find an extinct species with a recoverable genome. You find its closest living relative. You extract ancient DNA from fossil material. You reconstruct the genome as completely as possible. You identify the specific genetic variants that separate the extinct species from the living one. You edit those variants into living cells using CRISPR and related tools. You transfer those cells into surrogate mothers, and you produce viable offspring that survive, grow, and develop in ways that reflect the extinct genome. This process had never been completed successfully from start to finish before April 2025. Every step had been demonstrated partially. Ancient DNA extraction, CRISPR editing of mammalian cells, somatic cell nuclear transfer, surrogate gestation, all demonstrated individually in various contexts. But the complete chain, from fossil tooth to living, breathing, growing animal, had never been closed. The dire wolf was chosen to close it for a specific reason. Not because it was the most important animal in the pipeline, because it was the most achievable demonstration. Gray wolves and dire wolves diverged millions of years ago, but their genomes are close enough that the gap could be bridged with 20 edits across 14 genes. Domestic dog surrogates already existed in veterinary medicine. The gestation period was 65 days. The size was manageable. The risk profile for a first public demonstration was lower than any other animal in the queue. And it worked. Romulus and Remus were born October 1st, 2024. Khaleesi on January 30th, 2025. The announcement came April 7th, 2025. And whatever the scientific community said about whether they were technically dire wolves, the pipeline was closed. The proof existed. And Colossal, which had been telling investors and partners and governments for 4 years that this was possible, now had 3 living animals to point at. The door was open, and behind it were 5 more animals, and now 6. Part 2. The mammoth, the one that changes everything. The woolly mammoth program is why Colossal exists. Ben Lamb and George Church founded the company in 2021 with one stated goal: bring back the mammoth. Everything else, the thylacine, the dodo, the dire wolf, the moa, the bluebuck, everything came after and was built on the infrastructure the mammoth program developed. And as of right now, in May 2026, the mammoth program is the most consequential scientific project running on Earth that most people are not paying close enough attention to. Here is the current state. Colossal has assembled the most complete woolly mammoth genome ever constructed, drawing from 65 separate ancient specimens. They have identified the specific genetic variants that produce the traits that made a mammoth a mammoth. The 10-centimeter fat layer, the 5 types of shaggy, cold-adapted fur, the smaller ears that prevent heat loss, the blood chemistry adapted to cold oxygen delivery, the behavioral and physiological architecture of an animal built for the Siberian tundra. They have been editing these variants into Asian elephant cell lines systematically. In March 2025, they created woolly mice, gene-edited mice carrying mammoth-inspired mutations that produce long, shaggy, tawny fur. Not mammoths, not even close, but proof that the specific edits they have identified produce the physical outcomes the mammoth genome predicts. The same proof the woolly mice provided for the mammoth is the same proof the dire wolf pups provided for the pipeline. One step closer, one door further open. The timeline is this. A mammoth variant elephant embryo attempt was targeted for 2026. You are in May 2026. That attempt is happening now or has already been initiated. The gestation period for an elephant is 22 months, which means if the embryo was successfully implanted this year, a calf arrives in 2028. Colossal has described every project as on schedule or ahead of schedule. They have not announced a failure, and the reason the mammoth matters, beyond the spectacle of it, beyond the footage of a shaggy, elephant-shaped animal walking through Siberian snow, is what the people behind Pleistocene Park have been documenting for 30 years. Sergei Zimov's research in Siberia has established that large grazing megafauna maintained the grassland ecosystems of the Ice Age tundra, that without them, the grassland converted to moss and shrub, and that the moss and shrub insulates the permafrost below it less effectively than the grassland did. The Siberian permafrost contains an estimated 1.5 trillion tons of frozen organic carbon. If it thaws, it releases. And if it releases at scale, the climate consequences are severe and largely irreversible. The Mammoth Program is a climate intervention disguised as a de-extinction project, and it is scheduled to produce calves within the next 2 years. Part 3. The Thylacine. 8 years. The Thylacine went extinct in 1936, not 10,000 years ago, within living memory. The last confirmed individual died in a Hobart Zoo on September 7, 1936, at 11 p.m. on a cold night, when the staff had already gone home and nobody was watching. There is film of it from the early 1930s, 17 seconds of grainy black and white footage of the last known Tasmanian tiger pacing its enclosure. You can watch it right now on YouTube, an animal that is officially gone forever, moving. In October 2024, Colossal reconstructed a 99.9% complete thylacine genome from a preserved 110-year-old skull, the most complete ancient genome ever assembled for any species. In January 2025, they sequenced it fully. In May 2025, the same month Colossal's own chief scientist was publicly walking back the dire wolf claims, the thylacine team quietly announced something the dire wolf controversy almost entirely buried. They had created vital induced pluripotent stem cells from the fat-tailed dunnart, the thylacine's closest living relative. The first marsupial-specific iPSCs ever produced, a technical breakthrough that the field had considered years away. In August 2025, Colossal acquired the Thylacine Integrated Genomics Restoration Research Lab at the University of Melbourne. Not a partnership, not a collaboration, an acquisition. They bought the lab and brought Andrew Pask, the world's leading thylacine researcher, in-house as their chief biology officer. Researchers on the project are describing reintroduction to Tasmanian wilderness in 8 years. 8 years, an animal gone since 1936, back in its habitat by 2033 or 2034. And unlike the dire wolf, which has no living ecosystem to return to in any ecologically meaningful sense, the thylacine has one. Tasmania is still there. The forests are still there. The prey species the thylacine regulated are still there, and in many cases, expanding in ways that are disrupting the ecosystems it managed. The ecological argument for the thylacine is the cleanest in Colossal's entire portfolio. Australia knows this. In August 2025, Colossal opened Colossal Australia, their first international expansion, dedicated infrastructure, dedicated team, on the ground in the country where the thylacine will eventually walk again. Part 4. The dodo, the symbol that stopped being a symbol. Say the word dodo to anyone on Earth and they know what it means. Not the bird, the concept. Gone. Irreversibly. Permanently. Stupidly. The dodo has been the universal shorthand for extinction as a final state for 350 years. It died around 1681 on Mauritius. It had no fear of humans because it evolved on an island with no predators. When sailors arrived, it walked toward them. Within 80 years of first contact, it was gone. And its name became a synonym for something that deserved to disappear. Colossal has the complete dodo genome. They identified the Nicobar pigeon, the dodo's closest living relative, as the genetic foundation. They developed new gene editing tools specifically for avian biology because bird genomes are structured differently from mammal genomes, and the entire mammalian toolkit required rebuilding for feathers and hollow bones and avian reproductive pathways. And they have produced chimeric chick surrogates, living birds carrying edited germ cells that will pass the modified genome to their offspring. The dodo program is not the most ecologically urgent thing Colossal is doing. It is the most symbolically important. The moment a dodo walks on Mauritius again is the moment the public understanding of extinction changes permanently and irreversibly. Not because of the bird, because of what bringing back that specific bird means for the word that bird's name became. If the dodo comes back, then irreversible stops meaning what it has meant for 350 years. Colossal is doing this. Right now. In their lab in Dallas and in partnership with wildlife organizations in Mauritius who are already preparing a haven for the future animals. And they are also adding the moa to the active program list. A 12-foot flightless bird extinct for 700 years. New Zealand's answer to the question of what a bird looks like when it evolves without land predators for 66 million years. In the active program, being worked on. Because at this point, adding a 12-foot extinct bird to the queue is apparently just another Tuesday at Colossal Biosciences. Part 5. The bluebuck, the sixth animal, and what it actually means. Last month, April 2026. Colossal announced the bluebuck. The CEO, Ben Lamb, described it to CNN as reversing some of the sins of the past, which is a different framing from every previous Colossal announcement. The mammoth is about climate. The thylacine is about ecosystem restoration. The dodo is about symbolic reversal. The bluebuck is about something else. It is about accountability. The bluebuck was not killed by an asteroid. It was not outcompeted by evolving ecosystems. It was not pushed out by climate change. It was shot by European colonists who arrived in southern Africa and hunted it systematically and completely within a century. The last one died around 1800. And the 4 stuffed specimens in museums are there because the people who shot the last ones wanted to keep something. Colossal has successfully performed ovum pickup on roan antelopes, the bluebuck's closest living relative. They have created induced pluripotent stem cells from roan antelope tissue, both described as world firsts for the species. The technical groundwork is laid. The genome work is underway from the museum specimens. The 4 stuffed animals in Cape Town and elsewhere are not just exhibits. They are DNA sources for a resurrection program. The bluebuck announcement is quiet because Colossal did not hold a press conference. It did not release footage. It did not have a celebrity investor make a statement about magic and the moon landing. It just announced it as the 6th program, as the next item on a list that is getting longer every few months. As if the company that could not get the world to accept that 3 wolves were dire wolves has stopped needing the world's permission to decide what comes next. Here is where Colossal stands in May 2026. 6 active de-extinction programs. Woolly mammoth, thylacine, dodo, dire wolf, moa, bluebuck. A $10.2 billion valuation, $555 million in total funding. An Australian research facility, the acquisition of Viagen Pets, the leading animal cloning company in North America, in November 2025. A patent application for exclusive rights to produce and sell gene-edited elephants carrying mammoth DNA. A mammoth embryo attempt underway or imminent. A thylacine reintroduction timeline of 8 years. A dodo program producing chimeric surrogate chicks right now. And 3 wolves on a reserve in an undisclosed location in the United States who are 19 months old and still growing, and whose existence, whatever you call them, proved that the pipeline works. The direwolf announcement in April 2025 was covered as a novelty, as a controversy, as a company overclaiming what 3 modified gray wolves represented. And some of those criticisms were valid. The science community's pushback was legitimate. The IUCN's refusal to classify them as dire wolves was scientifically defensible. but none of that matters to the pipeline. The pipeline does not care what the IUCN calls the animals that come out of it. It cares whether the animals come out alive and growing and developing in ways consistent with the extinct genome. And they did. And that is the only fact that matters for everything that follows. The dire wolf was not the headline. It was the proof of concept for a company that is now attempting to do to extinction what the internet did to distance, make it irrelevant. Not for every species, not cleanly, not without controversy and legal vacuums and ecological consequences that nobody can fully predict, but systematically, program by program, animal by animal. 6 so far, and the list is not closed. The door is open. The pipeline is running, and the animals behind that door have been waiting, some of them for hundreds of years, some for thousands, some for tens of thousands, for a Tuesday morning in a lab in Dallas where somebody decides it is their turn. If the full story of the 3 animals that opened that door is what keeps you watching, our last video covers the most unsettling development in the program so far. Watch The Dire Wolf Pups Are Learning. That is the problem. Next. The northern camera. The maintenance schedule. The moment a 14-month-old animal demonstrated cognitive behavior that the gray wolf baseline has no explanation for. The pipeline produced 3 animals. What those 3 animals are becoming is a question nobody at Colossal fully anticipated.